All right, let's jump right in. We're going to tackle a question that sounds super simple, but trust me, it gets weird fast. The question is, what do you really know? I'm not talking about things you've learned or stuff you believe. I mean, what do you know with absolute 100% unshakable certainty? So let me just ask you that straight up. Take a second and really think about it. Is there anything, even just one single thing, that you are so sure of it's actually impossible for you to be wrong about it? It's a much tougher question than it seems, but you know what? Philosophy has a really fascinating answer.
And that answer, well, it lies right here. It's found in the certainty of our own direct experience. This is like the bedrock, the most fundamental kind of knowing we have, and it's where we're going to find that one little point of absolute certainty.
Okay, let's make this simple. Think about pain. When you stub your toe, you don't collect evidence and then conclude, based on this throbbing sensation and the loud noise I just made, I infer that I am in pain. Of course not. The awareness is instant. You just know it. It's direct, it's immediate, there's no reasoning involved.
And this right here brings us to the key idea for today. Philosophers have a name for this, knowledge by acquaintance. It's that state of direct awareness. It's immediate. And the most important part, it is completely, totally absent of any kind of inference or reasoning. You're not figuring anything out. You're just experiencing.
So this whole idea of direct acquaintance kind of forces us to split our idea of knowledge into two totally different buckets. And this really helps clarify what we actually mean when we say we know something. So on one side, you've got knowledge by acquaintance. That's the direct, immediate contact, right? Like the raw feeling of pain itself. But on the other side, you've got what's called propositional knowledge. This is knowing a fact that is true. It's forming the sentence in your mind, I am in pain. See the difference? One is the raw experience. The other is a fact about the experience. It's a small difference, but it is incredibly important.
Okay, now here's where things get really wild. It's what the philosopher Bertrand Russell did with this idea. He introduced this radical plot twist that basically creates a huge gap between you and the reality you think you know. Get ready for this because Russell's claim is pretty shocking. He argued that you are never, ever directly acquainted with the physical objects around you. Not the chair you're on, not the screen you're watching this on, not even a bird outside your window. You don't directly know any of them.
So how does that even work? Well, Russell says perception isn't one step, it's a process. First, there's the actual object out there in the world, the bird. Second, light from that bird hits your eyes, which creates these raw experiences in your mind, patches of color, shapes, sounds. And then third, your mind takes all that raw data and infers, it makes a guess, that a bird is out there. That last step is a mental leap, not direct contact.
Now, that raw material, those colors, shapes, and sounds, that's what Russell called sense data. And his big point was that this, the sense data itself, is the only thing we are ever truly and directly acquainted with. Not the bird itself, but the bird-like sensory experience that's happening inside our own consciousness.
As Russell basically put it, we have acquaintance with our sense data, but we are not acquainted with the table itself. It's this idea that there's always a sort of barrier, a veil of perception, separating our minds from what's really out there. Okay, so if we can only ever be acquainted with our own mental experiences of the outside world, what about our inner world? What happens when we take this idea and turn it inward to look at what's going on inside our own minds?
Think about your mind's eye. Go on, try it right now. Picture a bright red square. Okay, you got it? Now what are you aware of? Is it a thing, an object, or is it something else? Well, philosophy has two main theories to try to explain this inner vision. The first one is the sense datum theory. It says that when you picture that red square, you are directly acquainted with a real internal mental object, an actual image floating around in your mind. But then there's the adverbial theory, which says, nope, there is no object. You are simply experiencing in a certain way. You are sensing redly and squarely. It's not a thing you're looking at, it's a quality of your experience. Kind of weird, right?
So, okay, why does any of this matter? All this abstract talk about sense data and mental images, what's the point? Well, the point is that this one concept, direct awareness, might just be the foundation for absolutely everything else we think we know.
See, knowledge by acquaintance has this special kind of security. Think about it. You could be totally wrong about the bird outside your window. Maybe it's a super advanced hologram, or maybe you're dreaming, but you absolutely cannot be wrong about the fact that you are currently having the experience of seeing bird-like colors and shapes. Your direct awareness of your own experience, that's infallible.
And this idea leads to a theory called foundationalism. Just imagine all of our knowledge is like a pyramid. At the very bottom, the bedrock, you have simple perception, that direct acquaintance with your sense data. Built on top of that is seeing that something is the case. And then at the very top layer is all our complex knowledge about the world, like that is a bird. But without that bedrock at the bottom, the entire structure would just fall apart.
So here's the crucial takeaway. Everything we think we know about the world, every single complex belief, every scientific theory, is ultimately built up from and justified by that raw, immediate, non-thinking baseline of our own direct experience. It all starts with what you are acquainted with, right here, right now.
And that leaves us with one last, kind of mind-bending question to chew on. If the only thing we can ever really, truly know is the content of our own minds, then what exactly is that real world out there anyway? It's a pretty profound thought to end on. Thanks for diving into this with me.